Well, Gary Brown here again, and tonight we're going to be prepping the chicken. We'll be cooking that tomorrow. And what I want to do is get it so that I've got a rub that's going to be working overnight. So let's make up the rub first. So start it out. Teaspoon of garlic. Teaspoon of my favorite coriander. In here, I've got a half teaspoon of chipotle and 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. Not regular paprika, it's the smoked paprika. It's going to give it a little bit more of a rich flavor. 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And I just picked this up today, 1 tablespoon of smoked salt. And I went with the smoked salt because, well, the grill isn't going to have that much of a smoke flavor. I could put a smoke packet in there, but I decided to see what I could do with the smoked salt and see how it came out instead of using that smoke packet, because as soon as you use a smoke packet, the inside of that Cobb is just going to get, well, all smoky. So we've got the spices all mixed up there. We've got the chicken, nice free-range chicken, no antibiotics, no this, that, or the other. Nice, clean, simple chicken. And when you're prepping the chicken, one of the first things you want to do, dry it off. Now, you'll see some places that are going to be saying, wash the chicken. Not recommended anymore. They discovered that the amount of germs that get spread around with a chicken are tremendously magnified if you wash the chicken out. So you want to dry it out, because what you want to do when you're cooking a chicken, actually almost anything, you want it to start out as dry as possible, because if you're not, you're going to end up boiling rather than roasting. Now when you're rubbing something on here, rubbing the rub into the chicken, you want to do it both on the surface of the chicken in here, and you want to get it under the skin so it'll really soak into the meat. So what I'm going to be doing here is getting under the skin here, and I should be able to just kind of poke my finger in here. You can see what I'm doing, and I'm just kind of lifting the skin up off of the meat, so I'll be able to get the rub inside of here. And it's kind of stuck tight there on the backbone. Make another little slit here. Always good to have sharp knives. There we are. Get that in there. There, see, nice. And we'll do the same thing here down on the bottom on the breast. Make a little slit in here. Should be able to get my finger in. There we go. You can't be a cook and be prissy. I mean, really, come on. There, we got that in there, and we'll come over to this side, break the membrane here. So you just slice it a little bit. Get your finger underneath there. And there you go. So, I'm going to take some of the spice rub here, dump it inside, just kind of work it around underneath the skin. And this is going to be sitting overnight in the refrigerator. So the salt in there is going to help break down some of the proteins, make that nice and moist. Flip it over. Dump some more of it underneath there, rub that in. And with rubs, I always play it by ear. You know, it's sort of like, well, gosh, I wonder what this one's going to come out and turn into. You know, I almost always will go, you know, goodly amount of salt, brown sugar, I love coriander, something I learned to really like when I was living in South Africa. Just gives a really good flavor to everything there. So next we're just going to put some of this on the inside of the bird. Lift her up there. Because remember, as this bird cooks, the flavors are gonna, there'll be liquids in there, and the flavors will spread around quite a bit. So we'll get it here, and then we'll start rubbing the outside. Oh yeah, one thing before I start rubbing the outside. 1/8 teaspoon baking soda, not baking powder, baking soda. I'm going to mix that into the rub. And why are you doing that, I hear you ask? Well, what we really want to have happen with a lot of this is a Maillard reaction. And that Maillard reaction is the thing that actually does the browning on the meat. And putting on a little bit of baking soda, what that does is it makes the rub alkaline. And alkalinity really helps with the Maillard reaction. Look it up online and you'll read about it. I'm getting that in there. I'll get some on the side here. Get some over here. And so that's pretty well done. So we've got our avian friend here. We've dried it off, mixed up the spices. Remember, we had 3 tablespoons sugar, brown sugar, tablespoon smoked salt, teaspoon smoked paprika, half teaspoon chipotle, half teaspoon garlic, half teaspoon coriander for the inside, added 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda for the outside to improve it. So what I'm going to be doing is, it's right on the roasting rack. This is going to be going into the refrigerator without a covering, because the inside of the refrigerator is going to dry things out. And what that's going to do is help the skin get crispy when we actually get to the roasting tomorrow afternoon. Cook's Magazine is where I get so many of the ideas that I incorporate into my cooking. Amazing magazine. When they try to figure out how to do something, they'll say, well, let's see how a steak gets cooked. And they must buy 500 pounds of steak and cook it every which way. If you follow their directions, you won't make a mistake. Well, I follow their directions mostly, and then I kind of go from there. So, this is pretty much the rub for tonight. This will go in the refrigerator, and probably around 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, take it out into the Cobb. It's Friday evening right now, and the bird has been in its rub for about 24 hours. I just finished up cooking a loaf of bread in the Cobb, so the grill is nice and hot right now, and I will be putting the chicken in. I'm going to let that get up to the usual 160 degrees. When it's sitting at probably 130 or so, I'll be putting in some endive because I don't want that to get overcooked. And while that's going on, I'll be making some risotto in the kitchen. You can't be a slave to the grill totally. So, into the Cobb. About 45 minutes into the cooking process right now, sitting at 127 degrees. And you can see things are cooking away quite nicely, and I've just put the endive on. Olive oil, salt and pepper. I'm guessing probably around another 30 minutes before things are done. Well, it's kind of hard to see in the dark, but we're sitting at 160 degrees right now. Just take a look. Ooh. Ooh, shiny. So I will bring that inside and let the meat rest for about 10 minutes, and we'll carve it and see how things are. And here we are with the chicken. And I'll be slicing it up, and we can see how it looks on the inside. I've got risotto sitting on the stove along with that loaf of bread I made, and the endive is finishing up out on the grill right now. This has got to be one of the most moist chickens I have ever cooked. The taste is great. It's done perfectly. You can see there's no pink on it. Here's the endive. It looks pretty good. There's the carcass. That's going to get trimmed down some more, of course, and turned into some soup eventually. The risotto is on the stove, and it's time for dinner. I'd say roast chicken in the Cobb and doing an entire loaf of bread on 10 briquettes. Pretty amazing. That's it for now.